And this is the other unspoken thing. Like, obviously, weed's always in demand, and at the time, it was very, very illegal. So it's all black market. But the cost of a pound of weed versus a pound of cocaine, it was just a business decision because they're like, well, we can make 100 times as much moving this. You know, like if you look at the original, even like the Mexican cartels, for people that like watch the Narcos show, like Narcos Mexico and stuff, they do a pretty good job running through the real history, how that went down. They're just like, they're strictly like, all right, one day they're growing pot, next day they're like, nope, we're going to move yayo just because it's better.
And there was a reason for that.
More dangerous, though.
There's a reason for that paradigm shift in the industry with regards to cocaine. And marijuana, ultimately, was that when the cocaine cowboys started, it was all precipitated by a woman by the name of Griselda Blanco.
Griselda.
The godmother of cocaine.
She was bad.
Now, if anybody out there thinks they know the history of this woman, they would also understand that between her and her husband are the ones that brought Pablo Escobar and Carlos Lehder out of the gangs in Medellin. They were selling weed, taught them how to gather the coca paste and set them up to be their conduit between the Colombia cocaine and the United States. She and her husband immigrated to the United States, and that's a whole other story in itself, but she ultimately wound up in Miami.
Of course she did.
And Escobar wound up being the killing, murdering, backstabbing son of a bitch that he was because she taught him how to be that.
Yeah, which she was all those things.
And she turned Miami into a fucking hellhole. I mean, a killing ground. That's when the government and the authorities finally realized they had a problem when the Dadeland Massacre occurred at a Crown Liquor store in Miami.
This was covered in the docs, in Billy's docs, I think, right?
Yeah.
Corbin.
Yeah. Billy Corbin, did that in his Cocaine Cowboys.
What happened at that again? In the Crown Liquor store?
It was two Colombian groups. Now, everybody's selling cocaine. Everybody wants to be the guy. But Griselda had a hand on everybody. And if she didn't like you, she'd kill you.
Yeah.
If you had cocaine of hers or whatever and didn't pay her, of course she'd kill you.
Didn't she kill like one of her husbands or two?
She killed them all.
Yeah.
And even if you paid her and got her shit and paid her and she didn't like you for whatever reason, she'd kill your ass, just like ordering a pizza. Yep. And that mentality took place all over Miami and turned Miami into a paradise lost, as Time magazine called it. Big front page Miami overview, paradise lost. She precipitated and caused all of that because of who she was. Well, when that started to, the government started to intervene and take that over, and trying to subdue and get rid of the cocaine problem that was happening in South Florida. Now, if you have seen the movie Blow,
of course, all-timer.
Who hasn't really?
Phenomenal.
I mean, if it's the genre you're interested in, you've seen Blow. Well, in the movie Blow, George Young's partner, Diego, is actually Carlos Lehder.
Yes, based off Carlos Lehder.
Right. So when you see the part about Norman's Cay in the Bahamas, and that's what ended George Young and Carlos's partnership, because he started going off on his own. Norman's Cay is actually Norman's Cay in the Bahamas. That's what it's called. Mm-hmm. And if you fly over that island today, you can still see planes that didn't quite make it on and didn't quite make it off, dotting the waters around that island.
It's insane. Like what these guys did, flying in the middle of the night. Like you talk about this whole boat thing. At least like it's two boats. You're like, hey, what's up, bro? You're going back and forth. These guys are fucking dropping fucking bales of coke onto the water, and then someone like Luisa was going out there pulling the bales off the water, driving it back in, coming back out with the Donzi, pulling them, driving back in, coming back out with the Donzi, pulling them. It's like, this is insane how this had to go down and how organized, but like how many things could go wrong. You know what I mean?
And to get out of that scenario is why he bought that island, so they could land the planes, put it on boats, and run it to Miami on boats. Nobody's looking for airplanes, and the boats, these go-fasts, as the government called them, would just run that shit, into Miami like that. And you're right. And they opted for the smaller cargo with the same amount of profit, if not more.
Oh, more, yeah.
And the marijuana aspect of it was so big and bulky and clumsy and there's no hiding this shit. When you go offshore in a boat like ours and get 15 tons of that shit, there's no hiding that shit down below deck.
Thank you for watching the video, guys. Please hit that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.